The Florida Everblades celebrate the 10th anniversary of their first Kelly Cup with their second. We'll hear from team members, and we'll speak with the goalie who made all the difference in this season's playoffs and got some bonus hardware for his efforts. Preparation for next season has started. There's plenty of coaching news, plus a look back at highlights from each game of the Kelly Cup Finals. It's time to bring the 21-22 season to a close. A special expanded episode of ECHL Week starts now!
Hi, and welcome to our final ECHL Week show of the season. I'm Barry Schickling. The Florida Everblades are kings of the ECHL. Their 4-1 series victory over the Toledo Walleye was surprising not because they won, but because they just lost one game in earning their second league crown. Let's get started by looking at the highlights from the final game of the ECHL's 34th season. The first period of Game 5 was all about the offense. The Walleye took the lead just 4 minutes in when Matt Berry found this loose puck in front of the net and knocked it home for his 5th goal of the playoff season.
And Toledo has a 1-0 lead.
But that lead lasted for only 4 minutes. Florida, on its first power play of the night, tied the game when Zach Solo took this feed in the slot from captain John McCarron. Not even 3 minutes later, the game's most critical juncture occurred, though no one knew it at the time. First, Matteo Gennaro snapped this shot from the left face-off circle into the net to give the Everblades the lead. On the ensuing face-off, a turnover at the Toledo blue line led to Levko Koper's 5th goal of the postseason, just 7 seconds after Gennaro's goal, and Florida was up 3-1.
3-1 for Florida.
But the Walleye got to work, and on their second power play chance of the first period, they cut the Everblades' margin in half. John Albert's slot shot off a nice dish from the playoffs' leading scorer, Brandon Hawkins, got Toledo the goal it wanted prior to the end of the period.
With his 6th power play goal of the Kelly Cup playoffs.
23 seconds later, Florida restored its 2-goal margin. Toledo goaltender Billy Christopoulos was unable to get back in position quickly enough to stop Solo's second of the period, this one on the backhand, and a 6-goal stanza came to an end.
4-2 Florida. Has it.
For Florida goaltender Cam Johnson, 4-2 was enough of a cushion. He stopped 23 Toledo shots over the final 40 minutes, after which the second straight standing room only crowd of nearly 7,700 in Estero reacted as fans usually do when their team wins a championship.
Kelly Cup champions! The Everblades are the kings of the ECHL in 2022!
Everblades captain John McCarron.
I think, we definitely had a great core group that, knew what it took to lose, I guess. It's a tough way to say it, but, we kind of knew what needed to change. We knew the culture that did have success. It actually made my job way easier. I was the captain, but we had 10 captains in our locker room that have been captains everywhere else. So, they made my life a lot easier, and they all led by example in their own ways as well. And we had a lot of young guys throughout the regular season, and a lot of young guys that stepped up in the playoffs. And I think that's a testament to the leadership in the locker room, all the help I had throughout the years.
Here's team president and general manager Craig Brush.
I didn't even know this until I watched the highlights of the game. But the players that weren't dressed were at the tunnel waiting to come on the ice, and Nathan Perkovic was there, and he didn't get to play a lot, and he played 13 years of professional hockey, and he was literally jumping up and down waiting to get on the ice. So I think I'll remember that as much as anything.
Florida head coach Brad Ralph.
I just kept saying to myself, we did it. I mean, not only this year, but it's been years in the making for me and for a lot of these players. So it was relief. Just finally we were able to break through and win this championship.
After having a few days to reflect on their title-winning season, we spoke with a few members of the Everblades about what it means to be ECHL champions.
Yeah, I would say we had our eyes set on the prize from beginning of playoffs in every series. Honestly, I think we just got better and better as the series went on. If you look back, Greenville gave us our most trouble in Series 1 and took us to 6 games. And I think we dealt with some adversity or adverse situations in games in that series, and kind of, good teaching points and good building moments for our group going forward, because like you said, the focus was there in every game. We knew that any team could, fight and claw their way back if we were carrying a lead, and like you said, every moment matters and each shift matters. So our group was extremely dialed.
That's very true. Guys were talking about it last night and even the past few days too, where we're always going to have this memory that we won this year, and always going to remember this team and stuff like that. So I know with my junior team, we still talk in the group chat. It's one guy will say something every now and then, and I know we had a reunion a couple years ago there, so I'm sure this team will have that as well. And the past few days have just been awesome, like celebrating with all the guys and everything. And, I'm definitely going to be friends with all these guys for the rest of my life.
It's so special to win here at home. It makes it even more. Like, my parents sacrificed everything when I was a kid to drive to the rink 4 or 5 times a week. I have 3 other siblings who are also all in sports, and they sacrificed everything. And for me to start my pro career and win a championship in front of them in their backyard, it's unbelievable. I can't even describe it. It's just perfect. It's really perfect.
I think for this time it was just to enjoy the moment, really, enjoy that skate around, because, you dream of whatever, in the NHL, of lifting the Stanley Cup and taking that lap around the ice and everyone cheering, and, you made your accomplishments for the year and, your dream. And I just really tried to enjoy that moment of lifting, a trophy over your head again. And because you never know, like, people play their whole careers and may never get the chance to even win one championship. So I was very fortunate, having my dad on the ice with me and, my wife there. And, it makes it a very surreal, special moment when you get family involved and stuff. So I really knew what I was getting into when I was lifting it this time.
I think it was early on, like, honestly, we started off a little slower than we wanted. And we finally got a road trip up to, we went to Maine for a game and then Worcester for 2 games. And at that point, we were basically at home the whole year. So it was like our first road trip. And I remember a bunch of us, like the older guys, we were saying, like, man, this might be perfect for us. Like, we can finally, bond as a team. We can do some things. And, I remember we went up to Maine and we ate, there's a good handful. It's probably more than half the team. We all went and got lobster rolls on, like, the pier and stuff. And, like, it was more of just a great trip where everyone got to know each other more. Everyone got closer. It was just the boys, no distractions. So I look back at that trip as where we really became a team and we started to really gel together. It was early on, but I think that was like probably one of the most important trips of the year.
In addition to winning a championship in 2022, Florida head coach Brad Ralph also moved to the top of 2 all-time ECHL postseason records. We asked him about the importance of those marks.
I've been doing it for just over 10 years, so I don't feel old, but I guess I've been in the league long enough, so I don't know. I just, whatever, I'm just enjoying where I'm at. Like, I love coaching in Florida and I'm having success. So, I don't know. It's nice to get accolades, Barry, but it's not something I'm, like, chasing or, monitoring or anything like that.
Comments from the MVP of the Kelly Cup playoffs and a lot of league news when ECHL Week continues.
Thinking of selling your home? Now is the perfect time. Few homes are available for sale, and this increases the competition. Many homes are selling above asking price. Buyers are offering seller-favorable terms, few contingencies, closing dates that meet sellers' needs, large down payments, or all-cash offers. Want to know what homes like yours are selling for? Contact Will Springer today.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
For earning 15 victories during this year's Kelly Cup playoffs, Florida goaltender Cam Johnson was named the June M. Kelly Award winner as Most Valuable Player of the playoffs. He knows, though, that both the Kelly Cup and the MVP award are not just individual trophies.
It's, you know what, it's an individual reward, but like I've told everybody, I'm not winning that thing without the guys that I have in front of me. And, you know, it takes a village. I made sure to tell everybody there. And, you know, that's why we won. We have, you know, even the guys behind the scenes, like our equipment guys and, you know, our doctors, our physical therapists, like everybody here is just so passionate about winning and everybody wanted to win. So, you know, it's an individual award, but it's just indicative of, you know, everybody that we have here. And I'm not winning that without them.
Playing in front of Cam is crazy. You know, he's the ultimate teammate. He's the ultimate competitor. He does have that, you know, contagious attitude. We're gonna win. We're gonna win. We're gonna win. You know, when you talk about it enough times, it rings true. So, but he backs it up, you know, in the best way possible. I mean, if you look at his record and his stats, it's definitely the best goalie I've ever played with, and it makes the game a lot easier when you know you got a guy like that.
It's just a fine line between being confident and being cocky. And you know, I just tried to instill that confidence. And I always tell people, like, it's all about manifesting yourself in it. And you know, you have to have these goals. You have to set these goals. I used to tell people, like, yeah, I freaking daydream all the time about, you know, throwing my gloves up and seeing you guys running at me. Like, it's something I visualize. And you know, it starts now. It starts in October. It starts to, you know, during the season. Like, you got to imagine yourself winning it, and you know, you have to manifest. And I told everybody from day one, and even there was times this year, because we're affiliated with Nashville, so I'm obviously affiliated with Columbus, and it was actually my choice to be down here too, because when Columbus was sending me down, they wanted to send me to Kalamazoo, but Florida still had my right. So I was like, yeah, if I'm going to go play in the East Coast, like, I'm going to go play in Florida. It's where I want to be.
Yeah, the addition of Cam Johnson coming in, like, in the first round of playoffs there, gave our team, you know, a huge boost that I don't think anyone really expected. I thought they all knew there was a chance Cam could come back, but yeah, he definitely, you know, held us in there and was just a rock for us. And it was just a pretty, you know, confident feeling going into games, knowing all you needed to do was, you know, score a couple, like 2 or 3 goals, and, you know, he'd give you a good chance to win.
When you have a championship caliber team, or you have a good team, like, you have this feeling in the locker room. And you know, especially like this year, like when our season ended, it's almost like you don't want it to end. It's like, wow, it's you know, it's just kind of ends, and it's like, all right, like, who are we playing next? And when you're on those good teams, it's almost like winning just becomes routine, and it's like you expect to win. And when you don't win, it's kind of like what the hell happened? That was a fluke. And you know, we just kind of had that same momentum the whole year, and you know, rolling into the playoffs, especially when I came back here, because I was gone for the first 2 games. I think it was like 1-1 when I came back. And I knew the group that we had in front of me, and I'm obviously super close with all those guys. But when I came back, I'm like, all right, we're done playing games. Like, we're winning this. We're winning this thing. So, you know, it's that confidence. It's that swagger, and When you have a winning team, you know how to win.
Of course, every final series has to have one team which finishes second. Despite a great season, which included winning the Bradman Cup regular season championship, the Toledo Walleye were that team this year. Here's head coach Dan Watson.
It's the second time that the organization's gotten here. We thought we had a really good chance and opportunity to compete and win a championship, and we fell short against a really, really good Florida team. You look at the series of 4-1, but I think we mentioned 2 games. I think it was a closer series than that. I think both teams laid whatever they had on the line, whatever they had left out there. And, it comes down to making the most of your opportunities during whatever game, whatever situation is, you have to make the most of that opportunity. You do need a little bit of luck on your side. But I think both teams really showed how good they are. Both teams played within their structure. It was a really good series. If you were a fan and watching the hockey games, it was a very, very good series. Talked about whatever 18 guys dress, plus the guys not playing. Those guys are still a very, very important part of the puzzle and piece too. Everyone has to be invested. And, if one guy doesn't believe you can get the job done, a lot of times you're out of the playoffs. So it does come down to will, how much will you have and how much desire. But I thought both teams showed how much they wanted it.
Okay, hi, I'm Chad Costello, head coach of Allen Americans, and you're watching ECHL Week.
Looking ahead toward next season, there's a lot of juggling going on. We lead off our news block with lots of news about lots of coaches. The coaching tandem, which helped Fort Wayne to the Kelly Cup title in 2021, will return to the bench for next season. Head coach Ben Boudreau and assistant Olivier Legault have both signed contracts to lead the Comets in 22-23. Boudreau will be entering his 4th season as Comet head coach. Ben Boudreau back as head coach is good news for all Comet fans, said Comet general manager David Franke. I enjoy working with Ben in all phases of the club. Ben is a tireless worker, passionate, and gets the Comet culture in Fort Wayne. Next season will be Legault's 7th as an assistant coach. The Jacksonville Icemen and head coach Nick Luco have agreed to terms on a multi-year contract extension. Luco helped guide the team to a club record 40 wins in 21-22 during his first season as a head coach. In the postseason, the Icemen won a Kelly Cup playoff series for the first time. The organization is continuing to build onward and upward with the Community First Igloo, new player housing, and success on the ice, said Luco. We had a tremendous season last year, but I believe we have a whole other level to achieve, and I am excited to be a part of it. Prior to Jacksonville, Luco served as an assistant coach for Reading for 2 seasons. During his playing days, he set the Royals team record for scoring by a defenseman. Meanwhile, the Reading Royals have a new bench boss. Kirk McDonald, who'd been leading the team for the last 5 years, is moving on to take the job as head coach of Dubuque in the United States Hockey League, the top junior level league in the U.S. Taking his place is his assistant from last season, James Henry, who said, "Pretty quick moving from assistant coach to head coach, but I feel like this is a challenge that I'm ready for." Henry, the 8th coach in Reading's history, joined the team as an assistant coach last August. As a player, he's Adirondacks' all-time leader in points. In 441 career ECHL games, he amassed 309 points. Henry earned the ECHL's Community Service Award in 2019. Reading tied its team record for most points this past season. The Royals finished second in the ECHL and made it to the 7th game of the North Division Final Series before being eliminated by Newfoundland. The Orlando Solar Bears have chosen Matt Karkner to take over as their head coach and general manager. With a playing career which included over 230 NHL games, the former defenseman heads to Central Florida after spending 5 seasons as an assistant coach with AHL Bridgeport. His responsibilities will include overseeing the club's hockey operations as well as supporting the local youth hockey initiatives of the Solar Bears.
On my team, I want them to be fast. I want them to be skilled, gritty, edgy. I want them to be creative, okay? They're going to be a creative group in the offensive zone, but they're definitely going to buy into the team system and the team philosophy. So it's going to be structured, but with some skill in there. Obviously, I got to get those players to make that happen, but it's going to be entertaining hockey for sure.
Pete MacArthur is moving from captain to coach. The Adirondack Thunder has named him as the team's 4th bench boss. MacArthur is number 2 in team history in points and assists and is 3rd all-time in games played and goals. His pro playing career started in 2008. He spent 4 of his seasons with Adirondack. Nearly 200 AHL games and 4.5 years in Europe rounded out his playing days. He spent 2018-19 as a player assistant coach for the Thunder, which didn't qualify for the Kelly Cup playoffs last season.
You know, I'm from the Adirondack region. I grew up playing a lot of hockey in our rink, so I want to be there. I'm not looking to go somewhere else. I'm looking to hopefully right the ship and get us back towards the playoffs, and eventually the goal is to win the whole thing at this level. So I think that showed through in the interview process, and like I said a lot, now I'm grateful to have that opportunity and to have the trust in those people.
There will also be a new man behind the Worcester Railers bench in October. The team and head coach general manager David Cunniff agreed to part ways, after which last season's captain Jordan Lavallee-Smotherman was named head coach and GM. Team Chief Operating Officer Michael Myers said this about Lavallee-Smotherman: "With 16 years of professional experience as a player, captain, and player assistant coach, we feel very confident that he will be able to help us take the next step forward on and off the ice." As team captain last season, Lavallee-Smotherman led the Railers in scoring. His coaching experience includes a stint as a player assistant coach in the United Kingdom's Elite League. He also served in a volunteer coaching role with Manchester, the other ECHL team for which he played. "I'm extremely excited to begin my coaching career in a loyal and passionate city like Worcester," said the new coach. The departing Cunniff said, "I feel that I am leaving the Railers in a better position than when I arrived. I am proud of the work that we have accomplished. I know there is a great core coming back, and I wish nothing but success for the organization." This past season, 26 Worcester players were promoted to compete in the American Hockey League. The team finished with a .500 record, but did not qualify for the postseason. Another new head coach will stand behind the Maine Mariners bench when the 22-23 season begins. The man who was there last season, Ben Guite, has taken the head coaching job at nearby Bowdoin College. Assistant coach Terrence Wallen will serve as interim head coach while the team undertakes the search for a new bench boss. Guite led the Mariners to their first ever playoff berth during his initial season as an ECHL coach. "It was a very hard decision to leave the Mariners," said Guite. "The success we had in making the playoffs, the way it happened, and the support of the fans during that run was one of my favorite memories in my hockey career." And the Iowa Heartlanders, preparing for their second season, will do so with their second head coach. The team's bench boss for its first year, Jerry Fleming, is heading to Germany for a head coaching position. Fleming's assistant last season, Derek Damon, has been named as the Heartlanders head coach and general manager. Damon, a first-time head coach, played 14 seasons as a pro, which included more than 100 games as a member of the Florida Everblades in 2006 through 2008. Said Damon, "I'm thrilled to accept this opportunity, and we expect to build off our strong end-of-season run. We have started putting pieces in place that will make us a competitive, skilled, and physical team on the ice in year 2. After a rocky start, Iowa finished last season with 29 victories, which included an above .500 mark after December. The team was second in the ECHL in power play goals. One more coaching note. Scott Burt, who's just concluded his first season as Rapid City's head coach and director of hockey operations, has been promoted to head coach and general manager. In 21-22, Burt led the Rush to its best ECHL record and its first postseason appearance since 2015, during which it advanced to the Mountain Division Final Series before falling to Utah. The big news to come out of the league's Board of Governors summer meetings in Las Vegas was adoption of a 4-person officiating crew for 1 quarter of the 22-23 regular season. Every team will play 9 of its home games with 2 referees and 2 linespersons next season. The other games will feature the traditional 3-person staff. The league has employed 2 referees in the Kelly Cup finals for a decade and expanded their use to all playoff games a number of years later. This will be the first time that a 4-person crew will be used in regular season games. The Kelly Cup champions will have a new affiliation next season. The Everblades are teaming with their Sunshine State neighbors, the NHL's Florida Panthers, as well as the Charlotte Checkers of the American Hockey League. This multi-year partnership is a reunion of sorts. The two Florida teams were part of a dual affiliation agreement along with the NHL's Carolina Hurricanes for 5 seasons between 2001 and 2010. The Everblades had been teamed with NHL Nashville over the past 3 years. The Panthers' previous ECHL affiliation was with Greenville. The Kalamazoo Wings have renewed their affiliation agreement with the National Hockey League's Columbus Blue Jackets and American Hockey League's Cleveland Monsters for next year. This will be the 4th season and 2nd straight during which the clubs have teamed for player development. Last season, 4 Kalamazoo players earned call-ups to Cleveland. That includes Jet Greaves, who eventually signed an NHL contract with Columbus on February 20th. The Blue Jackets are the 8th NHL team with which the K-Wings have been affiliated since they joined the ECHL in 2009. Linesman Christopher Williams has been named as this season's recipient of the Ryan Birmingham Memorial Award. It honors an on-ice official for his contributions and dedication to the league officiating staff. The award is named in honor of the ECHL linesman who was killed in a 2007 automobile accident. This season was Williams' 6th in the ECHL and his 5th as a full-time official. In his career, he's worked an All-Star game, an outdoor game, and he just completed his 3rd Kelly Cup Finals assignment. Williams has also worked American Hockey League games in each of the past 4 seasons. A notable player has announced his retirement. Derek Nesbitt, who turned pro in 2005 and spent 9 of his 16 professional years with the Gladiators, is hanging him up. Nesbitt, who served 5 seasons in Atlanta as the team captain, ended 21-22 as the only 40-year-old in the ECHL. His pro career included over 1,000 games, including 615 in the ECHL. A forward certain to receive ECHL Hall of Fame consideration, Nezzy retires as the Glad's all-time leader in goals, assists, points, and games played.
One of my favorite memories to this day, my rookie year, 2005-2006, was a record-breaking Gladiators season. We made it all the way to the Kelly Cup Finals to prove this is a hockey town. The very next year, in 2007, I used the experience I learned from that Gladiators team and found myself back in the Kelly Cup Finals, where this time I got to lift the Kelly Cup with the Idaho Steelheads.
The Gladiators will have a ceremony to retire his number in November. The ECHL was a better league both on and off the ice because of Derek Nesbitt. Every game of the Kelly Cup Finals had some drama this year, and there were some pretty good plays there too. Let's take a quick look back at highlights from the first 4 games of the ECHL's final series. The series began with Toledo getting off to a great start on home ice. Randy Gazzola and John Albert scored goals just 4 minutes apart to put the Walleye up by a pair before the first period was over.
3-2 for 2. Yeah, that's amazing. Let's see if they can keep it going against a very good Florida penalty kill. Shot, stop, rebound, score!
But Florida didn't panic. Zach Solo's goal midway through the second period halved Toledo's margin.
And Hillman, as they set it across, and a power play goal for the Florida Everblades.
Then in the third period, Alex Aliardi tied the game about 7 minutes in.
Now the first shot was stopped. Nope.
The goal, which helped set the tone of the series, came off Aliardi's stick again. With less than 2 minutes left, Levko Koper found his teammate with a great outlet pass, and the sellout crowd of 8,600 in Toledo was disappointed, to say the least. Game 2 featured a flipped script. This time, Florida got out to a first-period lead on the strength of Koper's 3rd goal of the postseason, followed by a shorthanded marker by Dylan van der Esch.
There they score. Koper in front of the net. They're going to do more straight-line hockey, a little simpler. Bird has it. Well, we'll see if the second group can do just that, but no. And van der Esch will go to center. Pendenza coming across the line. Back for van der Esch. He scores. And it's 2-0.
In the second period, the Everblades did what Toledo couldn't do in Game 1, increased their lead to 3-0. That happened when Solo struck on the power play. Cam Johnson kept doing what he did most of the series, stop the puck at critical times, including this save on a breakaway by TJ Hensick. The Walleyes started a comeback in the third period when Marcus Vela tipped in Blake Hillman's point shot. But despite outshooting the Blades by a 15-5 margin in the final period, Toledo couldn't find the back of the net again. The series shifted to Estero, Florida for Game 3. Johnson did his best to frustrate the Walleye early, but as the first period wore on, it almost seemed like Game 1 again. The Brabham Cup champs struck for 2 first-period scores within the space of 2.5 minutes. First it was John Albert on the power play. Then Gazzola made a great dish to Brandon Hawkins, who ripped the puck home from the slot to put Toledo up by a pair. The similarity to Game 1 ended when the Walleye took its first 3-goal lead of the series. This second-period shorthanded strike by Vela put the Fish in the driver's seat. The teams traded late third-period goals, robbing Billy Christopoulos of his shutout bid, but he was excellent, making 32 saves as Toledo won its only Kelly Cup Finals game. Game 4 was one that the Everblades and their fans will be talking about for years. It was a playoff classic. The teams traded first-period goals. Florida's Jake McLaughlin had his first of the postseason on the power play to put the Blades on top. Josh Dickinson responded prior to the end of the first stanza to tie the game at 1, and the score stayed even until late in the third period, when a tripping penalty to Florida defenseman Xavier Bouchard put the Walleye up a man with 3.5 minutes left. Matt Barry, in the slot, took a pass from Hawkins and put Toledo ahead by a goal and within 2.5 minutes of tying the series. But with time running down, Johnson off the ice for a 6th attacker and a face-off deep in the Toledo end, Joe Pendenza's 5th of the playoffs tied the game and set up a dramatic overtime game winner by Lucas Calbla, who had just returned to the ice after having his skate repaired. Exactly 10 years and 19 days after winning their first Kelly Cup, the Florida Everblades won their second, and hockey fans of Southwest Florida had a great reason to celebrate. That wraps up another season of ECHL Week, Season 10. Thanks so much for watching. Lots of player signings, affiliation updates, and all sorts of news takes place during the summer. You can keep track of it all the time by following ECHL Week on Twitter. Also, on our other social media channels, we'll have other stuff going there too. Make sure to check them all out this summer. Until next time, we hope you have a safe, great summer. Take care. We conclude the final show of our 10th season by taking a look at some of the happenings during the Florida Everblades public celebration of their second Kelly Cup championship. Just a few days after the season came to an end, a joyous and festive title celebration in Southwest Florida was enjoyed by both team members and fans.